to pre-train an assistant to perform retrieval tasks across a document that you own?
You lost me on a couple of things here. I'm sick with something. I'm going to see the doctor here soon, so maybe my brain's not working very well. But I don't know what a token is, so I don't know how to wrap that into the context of the conversation. So I need to do some research on that, or if you have a resource that explains what a token is. A couple things. I don't have a book or a document or anything written. I don't write things. I'm terrible at writing things. I make videos, so I have a YouTube channel posted with all of my stuff. And I'm also willing to catalog and document data from my mealworm farm, with the ultimate goal being I want people to be able to create their own micro-scale mealworm farm like mine. And so I'm not interested in the monetization of that. Honestly, I don't think there's a ton of money in that, because there's not a lot of crazy people like me that want to raise insects yet. But I would much rather give that away. But I'm assuming there's some sort of fee for having to run the PCs or whatever it is that allow for this sort of thing to happen. So maybe there needs to be a fee of some kind in order just to cover that technical requirement. But where I'd like to go with that is to be able to point something at all the videos that I have, and have it digest that. I do a lot of Q&A. I've done quite a bit of that where I answer questions within the context of that. And like, for example, one of the big issues with raising insects is that it's heavily dependent on the context of your situation. So what works for me isn't going to work for you. A lot of it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to sell mealworms to individuals, then you need a consistent product. You need a precisely sized product. And precisely meaning like what size do you want to sell, and you stick with that size, that sort of thing. But if you're using it for yourself, like to feed your chicken flock, for example, you don't have to do things the same way as me. And so why you're doing it matters, and we can build different protocols depending on what you're doing. For example, I don't put my substrate, which is what the mealworms live in and eat, I don't put that deeper than 2 inches, because in my temperatures and the way that I farm, it's going to overheat those bins with larger mealworms. But in a colder climate, that would be a good idea because it gives your mealworms heat, because they're going to generate heat. So there's things like that that have to be accounted for. So that's why I feel like something needs to be trained with just the knowledge that's been accrued. I'm also curious, there's a Facebook group that I'm an admin in that was started 10 years ago. Someone else started it, I joined it, and then worked into an admin position there. There's a lot of very basic rudimentary information that can be mined out of that. And I'm just curious how that could all be wrapped into a thing that could help scale the ability to answer questions for people as they need it about mealworm farming to get started. And then also, like, over time, like, I'm having this problem, what could be the cause, right? Like, my pupa are dying, I have more than 20% die off and I can't figure out why. Like, those kinds of things would be interesting. So that's kind of where I'm at. That meshes with where you're at.